Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? What is going on? Oh, man. Justin, this is Fields. I told you before the podcast. We selected Justin Fields. I just have. Because Walter Payton, you know, it's the man. I just have. Who is this? We selected Justin Fields. I think I could fit in as like a water boy for the Panthers. Freaking go. Who is this? All right, that's the end of this podcast. Yep, we're taking a kicker. Oh, man. This is intense.
Cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic, cake on the mic. People, this the intro. Sacramento, California, born and raised. In Antelope is where I spend most of my days. Talk bad about my team, you must be a clown. This is Keek on the mic, so you know you better bear down. Bear down, bear down.
What is going on, Chicago Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for a live stream right here on Keek on the Mic. It's Friday night. We're going to do a question and answers live stream. And obviously, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I know way back when. I was like, I want to do this every Friday night. I want to come on the live stream and interact with you guys via this live stream, because I know sometimes just recording can seem a bit weird. But I wanted to come on this live stream, start making this a tradition. And hopefully this is one of the things that can stick, right? So I'm super happy to be here. Obviously, if you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you stay connected with me on all my social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Obviously, you can find me on at Keek on the Mic on Twitter and TikTok. I mean, on Instagram and TikTok, and then Kiata Q on Twitter. But like I said, guys, I'm trying to do this every Friday night, and obviously I want to start coming on and doing play-by-play for the Chicago Bears as well. Obviously, it just wasn't the right time. Most of you guys know that I recently had a new baby. She is about to be 4 months old next week, so I've been super busy just being a dad, learning how to be the best dad I can be. But I do appreciate you guys sticking with me, even though sometimes the content has been up and down, but I really appreciate all you guys sticking with me. So like I said, this is just going to be a nice conversation, not only about the Chicago Bears, but about the NFL in general. We're just going to have a good time on Friday night, question and answer. So if you have any questions for me, make sure you send them my way, and I'll make sure to get to every single question on this live stream. So this should be a really fun time tonight. So we'll see how this goes. Obviously, for the most part, this is me just testing out the waters. I'm seeing how these Friday night live streams go. If they are successful, I'll keep doing them. Obviously, I'm going to test it out on Sunday as well, doing some play-by-play for the Chicago Bears. Super excited for that. And I know I mentioned this on my a couple of videos ago. I'm trying to expand on all NFL content, right? Obviously, I'm super passionate about the Chicago Bears. This is still going to be an all Chicago Bears podcast, of course. But I'm also trying to expand, right, on other NFL content as well, broaden my reach to all NFL fans, just so I can see if that can help the podcast take the next level. But like I said, very appreciative of the support that I have gotten from Bears fans. Obviously, the growth has been absolutely insane this year, and there is a lot in store for this podcast, so stay tuned. So let's take a look at the chat and see who has joined us so far. Okay, so we got a question. We got our first question. Will Alex Leatherwood become our starting right tackle? Him and Tevin are ideal on the right side. You know what? From what I've seen from Alex Leatherwood against the Green Bay Packers and in the limited reps he had against the Packers, he looked pretty solid. So hopefully he gets more opportunities to prove himself. Obviously, Matt Eberflus came out today in his press conference and said the plan is to have Riley Reiff and Alex Leatherwood kind of rotate, right? And that's what happens when you're no longer in the playoff picture, right? And you're a 3-10 football team. You start experimenting to see what you have on the roster. So I'm super excited for Alex Leatherwood. If it works out for the Chicago Bears, that is absolutely huge, because just like you mentioned, having him and Tevin Jenkins on the right side, your right side is taken care of, right? Obviously, you have Braxton Jones on the left side, but then you look at guys like Cody Whitehair, and then we need to upgrade at center as well. So I hope Alex Leatherwood, the more action he gets, the more comfortable he gets, and maybe he would end up being a gem for the Chicago Bears. Yes, Rowdy Man 777. This is the first Friday night Q&A, question and answer. So if you have any questions for me, I'll come on here every Friday. Just talk Chicago Bears football. and also talk NFL news as well, and just answer any questions that you guys may have. Just have a good time on a Friday night. I knew Don Burr was coming in. Hey, Don Burr, I have to give you guys your credit. You guys look really, really good. Do I agree with the fact that that you guys want to stick with Jared Goff as your franchise quarterback? Maybe not, but I think he's playing well enough, and he deserves a chance to be the franchise quarterback until he, I guess, messes up. Do I consider Detroit to be a Super Bowl contender? No, not yet, but they are definitely on the right track. So congratulations to Don Burr. Question from Paleo Chicago Bears: would you keep David Montgomery? You know what? This has been a topic of discussion, a debate back and forth going amongst Bears fans. I think I would keep David Montgomery. He hasn't given you any reason to get rid of him. Obviously, there's guys like Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, which would be outstanding options, especially when you look at the Chicago Bears, they're a run-first team. But when you look at David Montgomery, he's a solid player, right? I wouldn't say he's a top 5 running back, but I feel like he's definitely top 10, right? I feel like he is that good. He contributes as a catcher, he contributes as a blocker, and he contributes as a rusher. So I don't really see that there's any reason to actually get rid of David Montgomery at this point. So I would probably sign David Montgomery to like a nice 2-3 year deal, maybe for $7 to $8 million a year, and try to keep that duo of him and Khalil Herbert together. Got another question. How do you feel about Josh Downs? I think he could be our Stephon Diggs if we were to draft him. You know what? That's a very good question. Obviously, this year in the NFL draft, the receivers are absolutely stacked. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. There is a lot of good receivers, right? Like Zay Flowers from Boston College. I think it's Quentin Johnston from TCU. Obviously, you have Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. He hasn't played all year, so that may be a steal in the second round, right? So there's a lot of good receivers that can come in and actually help the Chicago Bears right away. I think Ryan Poles, it was a good start going to get Chase Claypool. I know there's been a lot of talk about Chase Claypool kind of struggling in his first 5 games, but just give him time, right? I feel like it takes time to learn this offense, right? So I think we are on the right track, but I think adding a guy like Josh Downs, he would be a really reliable receiver for Justin Fields. So I would definitely be intrigued. Someone asked, is N'Keal Harry finally going to get some friggin' snaps? You know, I hope so, because every time he gets the opportunity, he absolutely produces. And he's kind of the same boat as Alex Leatherwood, guys that it just didn't work out with their old teams. And when they get opportunities with the Chicago Bears so far, they look pretty good. So I hope he gets more opportunities. I think with Chase Claypool being out Sunday against the Eagles, he will get more opportunities to hopefully shine for the Chicago Bears offense. I know there's a lot of people attacking Don Burr in the chat already. You know, I have nothing against the Detroit Lions. I'm happy for them. You know, I feel like it's about time. You know, I feel like for the past, it seems like forever, they have been trying to build something special. And I think they may have finally figured it out, right? So I'm happy for Detroit. You know, obviously, I don't think they're going to win the division this year. But when you look at for years to come, the Detroit Lions are absolutely set up for success. Like I mentioned, do I think Jared Goff is the guy that can get them to the Super Bowl? I'm not sure, right? But like I said, Detroit, you should be really impressed. I think it's going to be a scary team, especially when you look at next season. Kyle M., you asked, hoping that Leatherwood is our solution at right tackle. Thoughts? Like I just mentioned earlier in this live stream, right? If he works out, he can definitely be our option at right tackle. And if he's not the option at right tackle, obviously when you look at free agency, you have a guy like Elton Jenkins, right, from the Green Bay Packers. He would fit perfectly. He knows Luke Getzey's system. He would be a plug and play. And the thing I like about Elton Jenkins is he can play all 5 positions on the offensive line. So, but at the same time, though, I kind of hope that Alex Leatherwood does work out, because I think it would be huge for the Chicago Bears offensive line. And let me mention that this Chicago Bears offensive line, obviously there's still some weak points. You know, you look at center, right? Center is obviously the weakest point of the offensive line. But at the same time, if we can figure out center this offseason, this offensive line may look a lot better next year. And they've shown at times this season that they have been dominant, right? Especially when you look at run blocking. But at the same time, when you look at pass blocking, they're up and down. Pass protection has been up and down. That has to get figured out before next season. If you're just now joining me, thank you so much for joining the live stream. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Obviously, I'm going to try to do this every Friday night. Obviously, like I said, I'm a new dad. Things happen, right? So I'm going to try to keep this up every Friday night. Like I said, I'm going to be doing my first play-by-play live stream for the Chicago Bears against the Philadelphia Eagles as well on Sunday. So I'm super excited to be here, guys. Thanks for joining me. Question from, I think it's Brodelicious. What's up, Keek? How's the little one doing? She is doing absolutely fantastic. Just thank you guys for all the love and support, checking in on not only her, but me and my wife as well. Obviously, RSV is real and it is definitely scary, but she has made officially a full recovery. So thank you so much for checking in. Kyle Waddle, question from you. You said, should the Bears draft a backup QB? Who is capable of running the pro system? Seems like if Fields comes out, the whole game plan has to change. You could consider maybe later on, maybe drafting a quarterback that fits the system just in case Justin Fields does go down. I think you saw with Trevor Siemian, obviously it's two different skill sets. I think as a pure passer, obviously Trevor Siemian looked better because Justin Fields is still developing as a passer, right? But there's no names that really come on top of my mind saying like, oh, we need to draft that guy, because obviously it's not a need. Obviously backup quarterbacks are important, right? Something that we need to consider. But I think at the moment they may be content just rolling with Trevor Siemian, right? But it is maybe an option to consider getting a backup quarterback that fits the system better, just in case Justin Fields does go down. Kyle Waddle also asked, have you watched tape on Dalton? Is it Kinsed? Tight end. I think he would be tough to cover and great hands. I haven't really did too much, tape watching of, any tight ends. I've been kind of focusing on guys like Will Anderson Jr., Jalen Carter, right? And that's a conversation that's been going on for a while. We all know that if the Bears are a top 3 pick, which we most likely definitely will be, the question is, do you take Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama or do you take Jalen Carter from Georgia? I think it's going to be a tough decision for the Chicago Bears and Ryan Poles, but I feel like it wouldn't be a wrong pick either way. And let me ask you guys this, and I know a lot of people get annoyed because it's not technically mock draft season yet, but would you guys take Will Anderson Jr. or Jalen Carter? Be honest with me. I Am Bot said, you said Bears should trade back. I agree, but how far back would you be willing to go? So obviously, when you look at the draft right now, we ended up with the number 3 overall pick, which is still a very, very valuable pick. Teams are going to be looking to trade up to go get hopefully their quarterback of the future. I think something that put a wrench in our plans was the fact that Detroit came out and said, you know what, we're going to roll with Jared Goff, right? Jared Goff is our franchise quarterback. And originally I thought Detroit would try to get like a CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, right? Just one of those guys to maybe sit behind Jared Goff and eventually be their franchise quarterback. So if that was the case, if Detroit really wanted a quarterback, I would be willing to trade down with Detroit at number 4, right? Taking their number 4 and 15, having 2 first-round picks, right? I wouldn't trade down past like number 6 or 7. That's just me personally. But I think it's definitely a huge option that the Chicago Bears might possibly trade down in the draft. And it would be smart. You're just trying to stack draft capital at this point. But at the same time, if you really love Will Anderson Jr. or Jalen Carter, you need to take your guy as well. Yeah, that's the thing, Paleo Chicago Bears. Will Anderson, I feel like, is the whole package. The Chicago Bears are in desperate need of pass rushers, and I feel like the Chicago Bears will get the defensive tackle situation figured out in free agency. Guys like Deron Payne from the Washington Commanders, Draymond Jones from the Denver Broncos. There's going to be a whole bunch of talent that will allow the Chicago Bears to hopefully fix their defensive line. If you don't land anybody in free agency in terms of defensive tackles, I think when you look at Jalen Carter, I think he's a pure fit in Matt Eberflus's defense in Chicago. Yeah, it's gonna be tough for Ryan Poles though. It really is. I'm interested to see what he does. I feel like the Bears are in a good situation. Um Obviously the record right now is not good, but I feel like overall long term, you got your quarterback, you got a top 3 pick, you got 120 million plus dollars to spend. It's going to be a fun offseason for the Chicago Bears, and there's going to be a lot of content coming your guys' way. I'm probably going to have to go live more often than not because there's going to be so much content coming through when the offseason officially starts for the Chicago Bears. Kyle Waddle asked, if Anderson grades as a generational talent, do you think the Texans just take him and get a QB later? They have 2 firsts this year and 2 firsts next year. Why wouldn't they just take clearly the best player available? That's a good question because I feel like when you look at this year's quarterback class, they like to say that it is the best, one of the best, better ones that they've seen in a long time. And obviously, when you look back at that draft with Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, right, Trey Lance, that was also a very good draft. But when you look at guys like C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, guys that have done really well in their respective teams, are true leaders. I feel like when you look at the Houston Texans, they have a whole bunch of holes, but I just don't personally see the Houston Texans passing up on C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. So they possibly may take Will Anderson Jr., but that would definitely surprise me. We all know that he is probably the best player in this year's draft. And if they do take him number 1, that would obviously hurt me because when you look at the Texans, I feel like they need a quarterback more than an edge rusher. Rowdyman777 says, if not the Lions, then which team is most likely to trade up with the Chicago Bears? Every time I read like articles in terms of mock drafts, I see a lot of, for example, the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seattle Seahawks are at like pick number 5 right now, trading up. We trade back to number 5, take a couple of first round picks, maybe a first next year or whatever, right? Also, there's an option I keep seeing maybe the Carolina Panthers trading up at number, I think they're at number 9 right now, but for me, I feel like that would be too far. It just depends if you're okay with not getting either Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. You have to be comfortable with that. But there is a lot of teams that are technically quarterback needy teams, obviously. Like I said, I thought the Lions were one of those teams. They came out and said, nope, we're going to roll with Jared Goff. Obviously, look at the Carolina Panthers. They need a quarterback. Seattle Seahawks, even though Geno Smith has looked somewhat decent this year, I think they need a quarterback. So there is going to be options for the Chicago Bears to trade back if they want to. Because at the end of the day, like someone mentioned, if the Houston Texans say, okay, we're going to take Will Anderson Jr. with the number 1 overall pick, that would shake things up. That would absolutely break everybody's mock draft. And then people would start trading up to try to get C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young. That's just my opinion. Paleo Chicago Bears asked, do you think the Bears win another game? Would beating Minnesota Week 18 be a good moral boost, or do you think it would be a pointless win? I don't think any win is pointless, right? I did a podcast, I think a couple of days ago, where I was talking about Tony Dungy, right? He came out on a radio show and said, you know what, back when I was the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers back in 1996, we lost the first 8 out of the first 9 games, right? I went into the locker room, I said, you know what, we're not going to fold. I feel the same thing about this Bears team. Matt Eberflus has instilled a new culture, and this team is not going to fold. I personally feel like they're going to be prepared this week against the Eagles. Are we going to win the game? Probably not, but I think they are going to be prepared. I can definitely see us possibly still beating Detroit and maybe even possibly beating Minnesota, either one of the two. I'm not saying we're going to win both, but I think when you look at games like the Vikings the first time, when you look at games like the Lions the first time, the Chicago Bears are young, right? They need to learn how to finish football games at this point. So I don't think it's a pointless win, and I don't expect this football team to fold whatsoever. Yeah, Nano CBD, you're absolutely right. Minnesota will probably rest all their starters week 18. It just depends. The 49ers are coming in hot. Obviously, the Vikings are probably still fighting for that number 2 seed, even though they won't technically get a bye week in the first round of the playoffs. But obviously, the way that the San Francisco 49ers have been playing with Brock Purdy, oh my goodness. Who in here saw that coming with Brock Purdy? Absolutely crazy. Yeah, and I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like that next matchup against the Lions, they're playing really good football. It's going to be in Detroit. That is going to be a tough game. I have a lot of respect for what the Detroit Lions are doing. Obviously, when I look at the NFC North, when I look at the future of the NFC North, I feel like it's going to be the Bears and Lions going at it, and while the Packers and Vikings probably take a little downslide. That's just my personal opinion. Rowdyman77 said, if the Bears beat Minnesota, who benches all their starters, then that isn't much of a moral boost for the Bears. Yeah, you're probably right, but at the same time, you're going to go in and put your best foot forward, whoever's out there. These guys are in the NFL. They're all getting paid big bucks. It doesn't matter if you're a second, third stringer. You made it to the NFL for a reason, so I expect the Chicago Bears to try to put their best foot forward in these remaining 4 games. Nano CBD asks, will most of the wide receivers stay in Chicago or will most leave? I think what the Chicago Bears may do, I think they're going to keep guys like Equanimeous St. Brown. I think they're going to keep N'Keal Harry. I think Byron Pringle's going to, they're going to let Byron Pringle walk, right? I think they may let Dante Pettis walk. So if I had to think about who the receivers would be for the Chicago Bears next year on the top of my head, we got Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Equanimeous St. Brown, N'Keal Harry. Those are your, and Velus Jones, of course. So that's 5. Obviously, you still need to add one more stud. That can be obviously probably via draft when you look at free agency right now. I think a wild card to me, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, is that wild card for me is Alan Lazard from Green Bay. Think about it. He knows the system. Luke Getsy's our offensive coordinator. He would come in right away and fit in right away. I'm not saying he would be a true number 1, but I feel like he would come in and maybe be better than like an Equanimeous St. Brown or a Velus Jones. That's just my opinion. I am bot said Purdy. We talk about Brock Purdy is gonna make it hard to go back to trade Lance. Yeah, I'll be honest with you guys. I live in California, so I'm surrounded by San Francisco 49ers fans, and they are on cloud 9. But I always tell them, like, are you gonna go back to Trey Lance? And obviously you should go back to Trey Lance, right? You traded up to get that guy, and you need to see what you have. But obviously Brock Purdy has looked outstanding. I have to give the man his props. If you're just now joining the stream, thank you so much for joining me for this Friday Q&A. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Nano CBD said, will the Packers drop AR to improve their salary cap position? You know what? I really don't know what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers. I hope the man leaves because it doesn't matter what we do. The Chicago Bears had full control of that football game against the Green Bay Packers, and no one can tell me anything different. But somehow, Aaron Rodgers always gets it done. So it will be a good day for most Chicago Bears fans when Aaron Rodgers finally leaves the Green Bay Packers. I don't know what's going to go on there. I know he just recently signed that extension, so I'm not sure what's going to happen in Green Bay. Hopefully he does leave, though. Do you think Velus Jones is a bust? I want to see more of him before we call him a bust. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you can call him a bust after 1 year. I think the only thing that hurts Velus Jones Jr. is that he's 25. He's the same age as me. So he's a 25-year-old rookie. So he needs to show something fast. Obviously, if next year it's the same thing with Velus Jones, then he probably won't make it long as a Chicago Bear. But I'm still optimistic. I think there's been some flashes here and there. But I think for the most part, for the first part of the season, he was mostly a special teamer and he was struggling in there, right? So I think it's just about the Bears offense and Luke Getsy trying to find a place to help, Velus Jones Jr. succeed and put him in good situations. Yeah, Rowdy Man 777. That feels really good. I truly believe that it's going to be the Lions and the Bears that are going to take a uphill swing, right, for years to come, while the Packers and the Vikings are going to try to figure things out. Vikings have a good team, though. Don't get me wrong; they have a good team. But I'm just thinking when you're looking at the next 5 to 10 years, the Lions and the Bears are the best setup. Good question, Kyle Waddle. He asked, if we draft or trade for a number one wide receiver, do you think Mooney would agree to move to the slot? He has earned a number one the hard way. Seems like he may not like that. I would be interested to see Darnell Mooney in the slot. I feel like that may be a better fit for Darnell Mooney. A guy that I can see us drafting, especially if we trade back in the first round, is a guy like Quentin Johnston, right? He has all the intangibles to be a good receiver. He still needs to be developed a little bit. I'm not saying he's perfect, but the guy is 6'4", 215. He's probably going to run like a 4.4, 4.5, which is still pretty fast for a guy that size. And has all the intangibles. Very athletic. I could definitely see the Bears trading back and maybe going to get their number one receiver out of TCU. Yeah, Paleo Chicago Bears, you're absolutely right. The Bears had the Packers game won, but they started playing not to lose, and it cost them. Packers weren't doing anything besides capitalize on the Bears' blunders. Absolutely. Absolutely. It looked like Luke Getsy had a totally different game plan in the second half. Absolutely. We had to keep putting our foot on the gas, and we let off. So it's disappointing, obviously, right? It's disappointing, but that loss was definitely on the coaches. Yeah, Velus Jones Jr., Nano CBD, definitely struggled as a special teamer. Obviously, he had those muff punts against the Giants and the Washington Commanders that really cost the Bears those games. And then, obviously, the drop pass, too. The drops issues. So, you could see how they're starting to use them, like on reverse quick screens, and that's how he should be using this offense. So, we'll see, especially on Sunday, to see if he gets more of an opportunity, especially with Chase Claypool out. Yeah, Nano CBD. Justin Fields really wants to beat the Green Bay Packers, and I feel like it's coming. Obviously you have to give Aaron Rodgers his respect. Obviously, it wasn't really the Aaron Rodgers that beat us this last time, but he does own the Chicago Bears. Obviously the stats and the record doesn't lie. But what I can tell you guys is what Aaron Rodgers has done to us over this past decade. I guarantee you, Justin Fields will do the same to the Green Bay Packers. Watch. Rowdyman777, to answer your question, I am into basketball, but I'm from Sacramento, so I'm technically a Sacramento Kings fan. Obviously, the Chicago Bears are first on my list, but if I ever had to support, it would definitely be the Sacramento Kings. No, just I like the Chicago Bulls. My dad, grew up a Bulls fan and a Michael Jordan fan. He absolutely loves Chicago Bulls, but I don't know too much about the Bulls to actually cover them on a podcast. Kyle Waddle asks, who do you think will be the high money free agent signings this year? They have to spend it somehow. Personally, I feel like if Deron Payne is available, throw the money at him. Another guy that I really like is Marcus Davenport, edge rusher out of New Orleans, right? The Saints. I would give him a lot of money. Obviously, Elton Jenkins, he can play all five positions. He would be really valuable. I know Jack Conklin has come up in discussion in some offseason mock off seasons for the Chicago Bears. He would be a good pickup. He would be an upgrade at right tackle. Obviously, there's been some debate about maybe Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs if we don't re-sign David Montgomery. But those are just a couple of names just coming on top of my head. But I think for me, my number one is Deron Payne. I used to be all over Orlando Brown from the Chiefs. I think for the longest time, I was like, oh, he would be really good. He's going to get a lot of money this off season. But I think I want to see more of Braxton Jones. I think he has earned the right to be our starting left tackle. Yeah, Nano CBD said Eagles ran for 363 yards versus the Packers. Watch out. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a tough game for our defense, right? Obviously, the Eagles, when you look at them, it seems like they have no weakness whatsoever. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's not going to be easy. They're obviously one of the best teams in the NFC. Obviously, when you look at their record, they are the best team in the NFC. So this is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a good litmus test, though, for Justin Fields. Paleo Chicago Bears asked, do you think Bears could convince Jenkins to leave the Packers? With enough money, I think it will happen. Yeah, I think when you look at all the teams that can possibly convince him to leave, it's probably the Chicago Bears. Once again, the connection with Luke Getsy really does help. So I think that'd be a good pickup for the Chicago Bears. Like I said, he can play all 5 positions on the offensive line. Nano CBD said, "Do the Bears need to look at a new field goal kicker?" I don't think so. Obviously, Cairo Santos kind of has been struggling a bit, but I feel like not enough for me to possibly look at a new kicker. They may feel otherwise. Maybe Ryan Poles does go out and brings in some competition for Cairo Santos, but I still like Cairo Santos. I still have a lot of faith in him. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Kyle Waddle. Obviously, I really do like Deron Payne. It's a defense tackle that can, stuff the run, but also get after the quarterback. I feel like he has 8.5 sacks with 4 games left to go, so he may hit that double-digit sack mark for the Washington Commanders. But yeah, this is not going to be a fixed operation in one offseason, right? I feel like the Bears will be a lot better next year, but I'm not saying they're going to be like true contenders next year. Yeah, Rowdy Man 777. I agree with you. We have to give Santos the benefit of the doubt and see what happens. Yeah, everyone goes through little spurts where they struggle, but not enough to be concerned. Especially the Bears weren't supposed to win this year. Yeah, there was a couple of kicks that if he would have made them, maybe it changed the outcome of the game. But it is what it is. I do want to ask you guys something. And this, to me, this is a interesting one. This is not about the Chicago Bears, but now they're saying that Tom Brady is going to retire. He's expected to retire. How do you guys feel about that? I'm not too sure. I want to see it to believe it because the dude keeps retiring and coming back. When he retires the next time, make him actually sign the paperwork so he can't come back. How do you guys feel about that? Yeah. Nano CBD with the $125 million to spend, we could pick up a lot of good talent for the Chicago Bears roster. That's the whole point. I'm curious to see if Ryan Poles actually splurges. You know how he wants to build through the draft. Of course, I think he's going to add some good talent in free agency as well. But it would shock me if he signed like 10 new players to the roster, like big contracts. Yeah, Eddie F. Heff, with Claypool out, I definitely think Velus Jones Jr. Should get more opportunities this week to see what we have. Obviously, he was a 3rd round pick. I guess it's pretty high in NFL draft standards. So he should get a lot more run this week with Claypool out. Yeah, I agree. I feel like Tom Brady should have retired after he won the Super Bowl. You're on top, and you just keep coming back. I don't get it. I know you love the sport and all, but it's like time to move on. You don't have nothing else to prove, Tom. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Tom Brady. A lot of people are like they hate him, like they say call him a cheater, all that stuff, and they just hate Tom Brady. I have a lot of respect for him. I think the moment I gained the respect for Tom Brady is when in his first season coming to the NFC, he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. I felt like that was really impressive. Kyle Waddle asked, should they look to draft a safety later? Looks like a good time to develop Jackson's eventual replacement. Jackson may also be hurt to start the season. Yeah, it would be smart, especially you trade back and you start, loading up on picks, especially in this year's draft. I could definitely see maybe them, maybe trying to draft Eddie Jackson's replacement. Yeah, as much as it sucks, Tom Brady's obviously the GOAT, but I think he is cooked. I think he's done. He's done. Yes, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's just kind of funny how like these new young quarterbacks taking over. Justin Fields, right? Obviously, so like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, right? And then you have the old heads like Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady's still trying to hold on for dear life. I think it's just funny. Yeah, Paleo Chicago Bears. Eddie Jackson is injured and out for the year, so should be back ready to go next season. We'll see what they do with Eddie Jackson now. I'm a bot. Do you think Roquan will regret turning down the Bears offer? I think so. All that drama with Roquan Smith was just kind of unnecessary. Of course, I wanted the Chicago Bears to build around Roquan Smith. I said it so many times on the podcast that you should build around Justin Fields on the offense, right, and Roquan Smith on the defense. Things didn't work out. But all this drama, him coming in interviews still talking about it's like Roquan, let it go. I think he is probably a little bit angry because the Bears have the most cap space going into next offseason. I would be mad too. Nano CBD said, "Can we bring back Adrian Amos?" I don't know if that's a possibility. Obviously, with Jaquan Brisker playing really well in his rookie season, obviously the coaches are super impressed with Jaquan Brisker and what he's been able to do this year. So I don't know if that's an option. Paleo Chicago Bears asked, "Do you think Zach Wilson is cooked?" I don't know if he's cooked. We'll see how he does this week. Obviously with Mike White out, he's gonna get another opportunity to see. But obviously, what he did by saying like, "Oh, that's not my fault for sucking it up one game," was just a bad move on his part. So hopefully he redeems himself because I feel like the kid does have a lot of raw talent, but it's just, he has to get out of his own way. Which wide receiver gets an extension first, Claypool or Mooney? I think Darnell Mooney will get an extension first. I think we still need to see a little bit more from Chase Claypool. I think we've seen enough from Darnell Mooney. I'm not saying he's going to be our number one, but I think we've seen enough from Darnell Mooney. He made a lot of good plays this season. It's been really reliable receiver for Justin Fields. Like I said, if you are just now joining the Friday night Q&A, thank you so much for joining me here on Keek on the Mic. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. And like always, make sure you stay connected with me on all my social media platforms, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok as well. I'm really feeling this TikTok thing. I'm trying to do the TikTok trends, but, there's just always so many TikTok trends. So it's so hard to keep up with all of them. Nano CBD asked, and this is a very good question. If Montgomery doesn't come back, is Khalil Herbert a number one running back? Huh. I would say yes, but he needs to improve on his pass blocking. And I think that's the one thing that separates David Montgomery from Khalil Herbert, that he is excellent in pass protection. But if Khalil Herbert can improve on that, Khalil Herbert has enough talent to be the Chicago Bears number one running back. But I really do hope they keep David Montgomery so they can keep that duo together. I feel like it would be deadly. Yeah, Paleo Chicago Bears. I think Ryan Poles really needs to strongly consider keeping David Montgomery. There's really no reason to let him go. I feel like he's been productive for the Chicago Bears. Really do like David Montgomery on this football team. I think the Chicago Bears may possibly. I feel like teams always draft at least one running back per draft. So it wouldn't surprise me if they draft a running back. Not like early, but you know what I mean, like later on. Kyle Waddle asked, "Do the Chicago Bears move on from Cody Whitehair?" Obviously, if the Bears decide to cut Cody Whitehair, I think they would save like $10 million. So it's definitely a possibility. Obviously, I think Cody Whitehair is one of the fan favorites, but his time may slowly be coming to an end as a Chicago Bear. I feel like when you look at Cody Whitehair, he's not like the best offensive lineman in the NFL, but I feel like for the most part, he's solid. He knows how to play the game. So We'll see. We'll see. They may just keep him for one more year until they can finally figure out a replacement for Cody Whitehair. But if they feel intrigued that they can save $10 million this year, they may very well get rid of Cody Whitehair. And that's the thing, Bears fans. We have the money to keep anybody we want to. If they really want to keep players, they will keep them. $125 million is a lot of money to spend. So we'll see what they do. Someone asked, who do you see Poles bringing next year, 2023 free agency? Like I said, I'm very big on Daron Payne. If they miss out on Daron Payne, I feel like Draymond Jones from the Denver Broncos would be a good pickup to start the rebuild of our defensive line. I really like Marcus Davenport out of the Saints, Elton Jenkins to hopefully add to our offensive line. Jack Coughlin's obviously there if we miss out on Elton Jenkins. So yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be fun, guys. It's gonna be a lot of content to post this offseason. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. It's gonna be crazy. If you're now just joining the live stream, thank you so much for joining the Friday night live stream right here on Kick on the Mic. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you share this podcast with every single Bears that you know. This obviously is a growing platform, and I'm super proud of the work that I was able to do this year on the podcast. But obviously, it wouldn't be anywhere without you guys. So thank you. Yeah, you could argue that maybe Cody Whitehair is still the best lineman on the Bears, but I think you can make an argument for Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins has been really good this year. And I'm proud of Tevin Jenkins. You know, all the stuff he went through, the trade rumors, all that stuff. And he just kept fighting. He just kept fighting, and now he is a lock at right guard. Raging Oracle, thank you so much for joining the live stream. To answer your question, who did he pick, Anderson or Carter? I feel like if they're both there, I'm taking Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. You know, a lot of people are complaining about his size, but the dude is absolutely insane. He's absolutely fast. He's a generational talent. The Bears are in desperate need of pass rushers. And the reason why I take the pass rusher over the defensive line, Jalen Carter, because I feel like the Bears are going to figure out the defensive tackle position, maybe getting Daron Payne, Draymond Jones. The list goes on and on. Yeah, obviously, offense will be a big focus in free agency as well, especially when you look on along the offensive line. They cannot go into next season, Bears fans, with Sam Mustipher as the starter. They cannot, and obviously Lucas Patrick was a bust too. So can't go into next season with that center combo. Trade first picks with the Raiders, bringing over Davante Adams. Man, that would be nice. That would be pretty nice, but you know, unrealistic. But it would be cool. They made that happen. Yeah, Kyle Waller, you're absolutely right. Scouts are saying that edge is the deepest position in the draft. If they move back for picks, who do you like day 2, 2, 3 at edge? You know, if they trade back, you even get a guy like Myles Murphy in the first round if you really wanted to. That guy is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, look at guys like I think his name is Tyrese Wilson. I think it's from Texas A&M or Texas Tech. Sorry, he's a good option. Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame, he's a good option. So the pass rushing group in this NFL draft, it's scary. Paleo Chicago Bears asked, "Do you think Sam Musfer knows his days are possibly numbered?" Yeah, he probably does, but at the same time, maybe he doesn't. He's probably just focused on trying to help the Chicago Bears win, you know. But Sam Musfer is probably just a decent backup for any NFL team at this point. He's not meant to be a starter in the NFL. I'm going to ask you guys again, if you're just now joining the live stream, do you take Will Anderson Jr. or Jalen Carter, or neither, or you trade back and get someone else? Let me know in the chat. I really want to hear from you guys. Yeah, Raging Oracle, I would be probably a little bit upset. As long as he's not re-signed to be our starter, that's fine. You keep him as, depth, right? But he doesn't need to be the starting center for the Chicago Bears. So Floyd said Jalen Carter all day. I'm not mad about that. I would not be mad about Jalen Carter whatsoever. And don't forget, at center, Bears fans, we still have Doug Kramer. He was out for the year. He'll be coming back too. Maybe they give him an opportunity. I'm not sure if he's going to be capable of being the starter in NFL, but maybe they'll give him an opportunity. That's definitely an option. Nano CBD. Trade back and increase our draft capital. That's what I'll do. Yeah, that's smart. Raging Oracle, good point. Taking Carter. Anderson's a speed rusher and edge. Anderson is best in a 3-4. He is not better in the 4-3. Okay. Yeah, obviously, when you look at tape, there's been a lot of people saying that Jalen Carter would be a better natural fit in the Chicago Bears defense. So, makes sense. Paleo Chicago Bears, do you have another Chicago Bears channel you like to watch besides yours? I really like Bears Now. I like Bears Now. I like Foz Sports. A lot of respect for Bears Necessity podcast. I've done a lot of collaborations with them. Actually, when I started doing podcasting for the Chicago Bears, they were the first Bears podcast to invite me on. Obviously, I really like Sports Talk Chicago with John Segul. Really good platform over there. But I try to support all the Chicago Bears channels, to be honest with you. Yeah, I would be interested in Tajay Sharp. He looked good in preseason. We'll see. He actually, you forget about players that have been hurt all year, right? Haven't played a snap, but he did look really good in preseason. Who are your guys' favorite Chicago Bears YouTubers or podcasts that you guys like listening to? Because like I said, I support all Bears YouTubers. I really do. I try my best. I like seeing everyone's different opinions about the same team. But who is your guys' favorite? Nano CBD, what about another cornerback? Vildor has been weak. Yeah, I can definitely see that. I've been kind of started doing my mock offseason, and the guy that I want us to keep a close eye on is I think it's Jamil Dean. And then I think there's also I think it's Sam Bunting, something like that we can keep an eye on as well. To ensure that our secondary is set. Because when you look at Vildor, he's been up and down too. Paleo Chicago Bears said, Bears Now, I really appreciate that. Foz Sports Talk, Under Center Podcast. Yes. All good platforms. All good platforms. Eddie F. Hef said, being from the Bay Area, you're my favorite. I appreciate that, Eddie. I really, really appreciate that. I appreciate every single one of you guys. I really do. I really do. There's some days where it's hard to come on here and do it. You're just exhausted, right? And, being able to interact with you guys makes it all better. I try to keep it open, keep it open for opinions, right? And that's what podcasting's all about. Having difference of opinions, just try not to be too disrespectful about it, right? So I'm going to check out Bears Licismo. I think that's what you said. I do like watching tape reviews, because the tape never lies. People are like, oh, Justin Fields looked bad today, but the tape never lies. So I do like, YouTube channels that, break down the tape. Yeah, and that's a big thing, Raging Oracle. Watching tape videos, anyone can do tape videos. That's why I don't do a lot of tape videos, because I'm not really the best at watching and analyzing tape. But I do respect people that can do that, because it makes for intriguing content. Yeah, Paleo Chicago Bears, I do like all of Justin's collabs with Dunkin' Donut. I feel like it's pretty neat. Really is. I'm not a big fan of Dunkin' Donuts, though. Tried it when I went to Chicago a couple of times. We have a couple here in California as well, and I just not a big fan of it. Yeah, keep the questions coming, Bears fans. Kyle Waddle asks, can the Broncos beat the Cardinals without Murray and help us get the number 2 pick? Yeah, man, the Broncos are a sore subject. They make me mad. That let's ride shit pisses me off every time I see it. Russell Wilson has absolutely sucked this year. The Broncos have absolutely sucked. And Nathaniel Hackett reminds me of Matt Nagy 2.0. And no one can tell me differently. So I'm not too confident. Especially since Russell Wilson's not playing. I'm not sure if it would have helped, but. Yeah, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. Best quarterbacks from that draft class. I think people would argue now that Justin Fields is the best from that draft class. So the Bears got a steal, people. The Bears got a steal in Justin Fields. How in the hell did Justin Fields make it out of the top 10? Let's really think about that. Absolutely. The first time, just watching his coaching style and how he looks, like that blank stare, that is Matt Nagy, bro. Rowdyman777 said, how long do you think Fields can honestly last in his peak? Even if he had a good old line, he is the type of player to run into and take hits instead of avoiding them. I think my argument with you, Rowdy Man, is that in college, Justin Fields wasn't a run first quarterback. If he has a good offensive line that allows him to step up into the pocket consistently, I feel like he would, you know, stay in the pocket. I feel like right now, since the offensive line is kind of shaky, there's more design runs. I'm not saying that Luke Getsey's not going to call design runs anymore with the good offensive line, but I think it's going to make Justin Fields' job easier when he has, a better offensive line in front of him. So I think he can keep his peak up if he's not running as often. We still want him to run as a good dimension to his game that was added, but of course you want to see him throw the ball as well. Keep the question coming, Bears fans. I'm going to take a little break, but I will be right back. Keep the questions coming now. All right, I am back. Thank you guys for sticking with me and being patient. All right, let's look at the comments. Nano CBD, I respect that. It was scary. I thank you guys for all your love and support through that scary time that my wife and I deal with our new baby. It's definitely scary. My best friends in the house, Joseph D. Martini, he said, Herbert, the Chargers Bears Super Bowl one day, bro. I hope so. That's something that we've been trying to manifest, but I don't know if it's gonna happen anytime soon. But wouldn't that be quite a Super Bowl? Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Khalil Mack. Ooh, that has a nice ring to it. Someone asked, does Velus Jones or N'Keal Harry have the bigger impact Sunday? I feel like N'Keal Harry's going to step up. I feel like N'Keal Harry's going to step up. I feel like when he's gotten an opportunity, which has been slim to none, he has showed up. So I think N'Keal Harry. Watch out for N'Keal Harry. I like N'Keal Harry so far. Yeah, I feel like Velus Jones, he's still needs some work, still needs to be developed. I feel like they tried to use him primarily as a special teamer, but I don't think we should give up on him quite yet. Not yet. I'll answer a couple more questions, guys, and I'll probably end this live stream. Like I said, this is just a test for things to come. Obviously, I'm planning to do more live streams. Probably hopefully every Friday night, maybe on a random weekday, just depending on how I'm feeling. But Friday and then Sundays for sure for the play-by-play. I plan to do a play-by-play live stream this Sunday. Super excited for that. Never done one of those before, so I'm excited. So give me a couple more questions to answer, and then I will be on my way. Nano CBD asks, can our defense play better versus the run with our rookies coming back from the concussion protocol? Possibly. Obviously, a guy like Jaquan Brisker comes into the box and lays some hits. So we'll see. We'll see. Our defensive line has to do a lot better. Our defensive line has not been good this year whatsoever. Raging Oracle asks, top 2 left tackles in free agency. Top 2 experienced centers in free agency. If I had to guess, if you're looking at left tackles, either Orlando Brown or Elton Jenkins would be my top 2. And then when you're looking at centers, I like Garrett Bradbury. And there's one other guy. I can't think of him on top of my head, but there is another guy as well. But in terms of left tackles, Orlando Brown and Elton Jenkins. That would be interesting, to see Velus Jones be used kind of like a Deebo Samuel type of guy, because the guy, Velus Jones is explosive, so especially in open field. And like I said, guys, there's a lot of stuff to come on this podcast. Like I mentioned, I'm going to expand try to expand on all NFL content. I'm still going to be a all Bears podcast, but I'm going to try to expand. Because I really do like talking about football in general. So we'll see how that goes. Nano CBD said, "Who do you like to win the NFC?" Oh man. As of right now, and I hate to say this, the San Francisco 49ers look like the most dangerous team in terms of having good offense, dominant defense. But obviously, the Cowboys and the Eagles are not far behind. But right now, if I had to choose right now, the San Francisco 49ers. Raging Oracle. I'm not sure who you're talking about. The guy they placed on waivers. Someone asked, who is your most surprising Bears player so far this year? For me personally, how much of an impact Jaquan Brisker made right away. I knew that, he was going to be good. All players say, oh, I'm going to be a steal of the draft, but I really think he kind of was one of the steal of the drafts for the Chicago Bears. He has been excellent this year. I'm super excited for his future. Yeah, the 49ers are scary. And obviously, I live in California, so I have to hear it all the time. Like, bang, bang, Niner gang, bang, bang this, Niners, all that stuff. But at least we beat them, so that's all that matters. Yeah, adding Christian McCaffrey, especially when Christian McCaffrey is actually healthy, it's a huge, huge add for the 49ers. Yes, Brisker was an A-plus pick. He's going to be a dominant safety for the Chicago Bears for years to come. Really like Jaquan Brisker and what he brings to the team. So, Bears fans, if there's no other questions for me, I am going to wrap up this live stream. Like I said, in future live streams, they will be a lot longer than an hour and 6 minutes. But like I said, I just want to come on here and test the waters and just have a nice Friday night Q&A right here on Keek on the Mic. But like I said, like always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you stay connected with all Keek on the Mic news and follow me on all my social media platforms. But like I said, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for coming on to the live stream and just hanging out with me, right? Make sure you tune in on Sunday. The game starts at 10, so hopefully I can hop on the live stream about like 9:45, 9:50. And then we're going to have a good time. We're going to see how that goes, just testing out the waters and see how everything goes. But once again, thank you guys so much for all the support you guys have shown the podcast, and that there's so much more to come for Keek on the Mic. So stay tuned. But I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll see you guys Sunday for Bears versus Eagles play-by-play live stream. Thanks, guys.